Before you close your eyes tonight. Before sleep wraps you in silence. Take a moment. Just one sacred pause. You've made it through another day, but maybe your mind is still racing. Maybe you're lying there, replaying moments, questioning choices, or quietly carrying the weight no one else can see. Let this be the place where it all rests. Not in worry. Not in overthinking. But in God's presence, the only place where your soul truly finds rest. So stay with me. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a prayer, it's a shelter for your heart, a refuge from fear, a reminder that even in the dark, you are not alone. Take a deep breath. Exhale the noise. And let these words settle into the spaces where your heart still aches. God sees you tonight. Not your perfection. Not your performance. But your presence, the real you, lying in bed, exhausted, vulnerable, maybe even afraid. But hear this, you will lie down and sleep in peace, for the Lord makes you dwell in safety. Psalm 4 verse 8. He's not asking you to be strong right now. He's inviting you to surrender. All your anxiety. All your fears. All the thoughts that keep you awake long after the world goes quiet. The battle you're fighting in your mind, the one no one knows about, God knows. And He's already surrounding you with His peace. Tonight, you're not alone in the room. You're not alone in the struggle. You are surrounded, by grace, by love, by a God who never sleeps and never leaves. So rest. Let your tears fall if they need to. Let your breath slow. And allow God to carry what you no longer can. Dear Lord, tonight, as the day's relentless demands begin to fade and the quiet of evening descends, I come before you with a heart heavy with the unspoken burdens carried throughout these hours. So many lie awake, their minds racing, trapped in cycles of worry and fear. They toss and turn, longing for the solace of sleep, for a moment of respite from the anxieties that cling to them like shadows. Father, you know each weary soul, each troubled mind, each aching heart that seeks refuge in the stillness of the night. You see the battles fought in silence, the tears shed in secret, the hopes that flicker like dying embers. This prayer isn't just for sleep, it's a plea for your divine touch, a yearning for the peace that surpasses all understanding, a desperate cry for the rest that only you can provide. It's for those who feel adrift in a sea of uncertainty, for those who are haunted by the ghosts of yesterday and the fears of tomorrow. It's for the single parent juggling multiple jobs, their exhaustion a constant companion. It's for the student facing overwhelming academic pressure, their nights filled with the dread of exams. It's for the individual battling chronic illness, their bodies weary and their spirits drained. It's for the caregiver watching helplessly as a loved one suffers, their hearts breaking with each passing day. They seek not just an escape from consciousness, but a genuine encounter with your healing presence, a renewal of strength to face the challenges that await them. They crave the assurance that they are not alone in their struggles, that you are near, watching over them with unwavering love and compassion. The world tells them to strive harder, to push through the pain, to ignore the whispers of doubt and fear. But tonight, they choose to surrender, to release their grip on control, and to rest in the promise of your unfailing grace. They come to you, recognizing that true peace isn't found in the absence of problems, but in the presence of the Prince of Peace. They acknowledge that their own strength is not enough, that they need your supernatural power to calm their troubled hearts and quiet their restless minds. They long to experience the deep, restorative sleep that comes from knowing they are held securely in your loving arms. They desire to wake refreshed, renewed, and ready to face each new day with courage and hope. This prayer is a bridge, a connection between their weariness and your boundless strength, a pathway to the peaceful slumber that awaits those who trust in you. We remember the words of the psalmist, "I will lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4 verse 8. This is not just a verse to recite, but a promise to embrace, a truth to cling to when darkness surrounds and fear threatens to overwhelm. It's a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, you offer a sanctuary of peace, a refuge from the storms of life. Tonight, we invite you to fill this space, to quiet the noise, and to wrap each listener in your comforting embrace. Let your peace reign in their hearts and minds, and grant them the peaceful sleep they so desperately need. The scriptures resonate with declarations of divine protection, a bulwark against the tempestuous trials of life. Consider the steadfast promise found in Isaiah 41 verse 10, "So do not fear, for I am with you, do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This isn't mere consolation, it's a concrete assurance of God's active engagement in our lives, a pledge to fortify us against the anxieties that seek to cripple our spirit. It's a beacon of hope shining brightly amidst the shadows of uncertainty. Beyond simple comfort, this verse unveils a profound truth: God's intervention renders the machinations of our adversaries impotent. If the Almighty stands as our defender, who can truly prevail against us? The forces of darkness may gather, the winds of adversity may howl, but they are ultimately powerless against the unwavering strength of the divine. This isn't an invitation to complacency, but a call to courageous faith, to stand firm in the knowledge that we are not alone in our battles. It is a recognition that the battle is not ours, but the Lord's. Reflect on the trials faced by the early Christians, persecuted and scattered, yet emboldened by an unshakable belief in God's protection. They faced imprisonment, torture, and even death, but their faith remained unbroken, their spirits unbowed. Their example serves as a testament to the transformative power of trusting in God's promise, a powerful illustration of how faith can triumph over fear, how hope can overcome despair. Their lives were a constant proclamation that nothing could separate them from the love of God. Moreover, this promise extends beyond physical dangers to encompass the emotional and spiritual battles we wage daily. The anxieties that gnaw at our peace, the doubts that cloud our judgment, the temptations that lure us astray, these are all adversaries that seek to undermine our faith and steal our joy. But even in these internal struggles, God's promise remains steadfast. He offers to strengthen us, to help us, to uphold us, providing the courage and resilience we need to overcome these challenges. Now, consider how this applies when you face a difficult decision, fraught with uncertainty and potential pitfalls. Do you approach it with trepidation, consumed by fear of failure? Or do you approach it with confidence, knowing that God is with you, guiding your steps and protecting you from harm? The choice is yours. You can choose to succumb to fear, or you can choose to embrace faith. You can choose to rely on your own limited understanding, or you can choose to trust in God's infinite wisdom. Think too about the moments when you feel overwhelmed by the weight of your responsibilities, when the demands of life seem too great to bear. Do you retreat into despair, feeling helpless and alone? Or do you turn to God in prayer, seeking His strength and guidance? He promises to uphold you, to lift you up when you are weary, to carry you through the storm. This is not a passive promise, but an active invitation to partner with Him, to allow Him to work in your life, to transform your weaknesses into strengths. The assurance of God's protection isn't a guarantee of a life free from hardship, but it is a guarantee of His unwavering presence in the midst of hardship. It is a promise that He will never leave us nor forsake us, that He will always be there to comfort us, to guide us, and to protect us. It is a beacon of hope that shines brightly even in the darkest of times, a reminder that we are never truly alone, that we are always held securely in His loving arms. Many of us grapple with insidious internal adversaries, shadows that whisper doubts into our ears and attempt to erode the very foundation of our faith. These aren't external threats that can be confronted with tangible weapons, rather, they are the anxieties, the fears, and the self-limiting beliefs that reside within our own hearts and minds. They manifest as persistent worries about finances, relationships, health, or the future, casting a pall over our present joy and hindering our ability to embrace the abundant life that God promises. Acknowledging these internal battles is the initial, vital step toward reclaiming our peace and stepping into our God-ordained destiny. Consider, for instance, the crushing weight of inadequacy that many individuals silently bear. This feeling of not being good enough, smart enough, or capable enough can permeate every aspect of their lives, leading to paralyzing self-doubt and missed opportunities. Perhaps it stems from past failures, critical words spoken long ago, or unrealistic expectations imposed by themselves or others. Whatever the source, this sense of inadequacy can become a formidable barrier to pursuing their dreams and fulfilling their potential. However, we are called to recognize that our worth isn't defined by our accomplishments or the opinions of others, but by our identity as beloved children of God, created in His image and imbued with unique gifts and talents. Speaking directly to these internal struggles is an act of spiritual defiance, a declaration that we refuse to be held captive by fear and doubt. It's a courageous step towards dismantling the strongholds that the enemy has erected in our minds. We must actively challenge the negative self-talk, replacing it with affirmations of truth and declarations of God's promises. When the voice of fear whispers, "You can't," we must boldly proclaim, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," Philippians 4 verse 13. When the voice of doubt questions our worth, we must confidently affirm, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made," Psalm 139 verse 14. Furthermore, engaging in spiritual warfare involves more than just reciting Bible verses. It requires a conscious effort to cultivate a mindset of faith and resilience. This means intentionally focusing our thoughts on positive and uplifting things, surrounding ourselves with supportive and encouraging people, and actively seeking opportunities to grow in our relationship with God. It means developing a habit of gratitude, recognizing and appreciating the blessings in our lives, even amidst challenges and difficulties. It also means learning to forgive ourselves for past mistakes and releasing any bitterness or resentment that may be holding us back. Take, for example, a person who has experienced a painful betrayal in the past. The wounds of that betrayal may linger, causing them to struggle with trust and intimacy in future relationships. They may be tempted to withdraw from others, fearing further hurt and disappointment. In this situation, speaking out against the spirit of fear and distrust is crucial. They must actively choose to forgive the person who betrayed them, releasing the bitterness and resentment that are poisoning their heart. They must also seek God's healing and guidance to rebuild their ability to trust and to open themselves up to healthy and fulfilling relationships. Acknowledging that spiritual warfare is not a passive endeavor is imperative. It demands active participation, a willingness to confront our inner demons, and a commitment to align our thoughts and actions with God's truth. It requires us to be vigilant, discerning, and persistent in our pursuit of spiritual freedom. It's a lifelong journey, but one that ultimately leads to victory and a deeper experience of God's peace and joy. The power to overcome lies within the conscious acknowledgement of your anxieties, and the declaration of your strength in God. The Almighty stands as an indomitable fortress, an impenetrable shield against the unseen forces that seek to dismantle our inner peace. Envision a towering citadel, its walls constructed of unwavering love and impenetrable grace, its ramparts manned by legions of angels, poised to defend against any incursion. This is the sanctuary that God provides for those who seek refuge in Him, a haven of safety and security amidst the storms of life. The very air around us vibrates with His protective energy, a tangible manifestation of His unwavering commitment to safeguard His children. Reflect on the imagery of the shepherd guarding his flock, diligently watching over them, protecting them from predators, and guiding them to safe pastures. This timeless metaphor encapsulates God's tender care for us, His unwavering vigilance in protecting us from harm. He is the good shepherd who lays down his life for his sheep, the one who relentlessly pursues us when we stray, the one who rejoices when we are safely back in his fold. He anticipates dangers before they materialize, deflecting the arrows of the enemy before they can pierce our hearts. However, consider the alternative perspective. God's protection isn't merely passive, a static shield that deflects external threats. Rather, it's an active, dynamic force that empowers us to overcome challenges and emerge stronger on the other side. Think of a skilled martial artist, not just blocking blows, but using the force of their opponent's attack against them, turning defense into offense. God's protection equips us with the spiritual armor and weapons we need to confront adversity head-on, transforming trials into opportunities for growth and transformation. Moreover, this protective embrace extends beyond the physical realm to encompass our emotional and mental well-being. God shields our minds from the insidious attacks of negative thoughts and destructive emotions, replacing them with His peace and wisdom. He heals our wounded hearts, mending the broken pieces and restoring our capacity for love and joy. He guards our spirits from the temptations that seek to lure us away from His path, strengthening our resolve to resist evil and embrace righteousness. Now, imagine a child who is afraid of the dark, clinging tightly to their parent's hand as they navigate a dimly lit room. The child's fear doesn't vanish, but it is tempered by the comforting presence of their parent, the assurance that they are not alone. Similarly, God's presence doesn't eliminate the challenges we face, but it provides us with the courage and strength to face them without fear. He illuminates our path, guiding us through the darkness and leading us towards the light. Conversely, understand that divine protection doesn't imply exemption from suffering. Instead, it signifies God's unwavering presence amidst suffering, His promise to comfort us, to strengthen us, and to ultimately bring good out of even the most difficult circumstances. He doesn't always prevent the storms from raging, but He promises to be our anchor, our refuge, our safe harbor in the midst of the tempest. He transforms the wilderness into a place of provision, the desert into a spring of living water. Another crucial layer is recognizing that God's protection is not a privilege reserved for a select few, but a freely offered gift available to all who seek it. It is not contingent upon our worthiness or our perfection, but upon His boundless love and grace. He extends His protective hand to the broken, the marginalized, the outcast, the lost, welcoming them into His loving embrace and offering them a place of safety and belonging. The invitation to seek His protection is open to everyone, regardless of their past or their present circumstances. As we navigate the labyrinth of daily existence, divine guidance serves as our compass, pointing us toward paths of righteousness and purpose. Visualize a seasoned navigator charting a course through uncharted waters, relying on celestial maps and intricate instruments to reach their destination. Similarly, we can access a wellspring of wisdom and direction, enabling us to make sound decisions and avoid the pitfalls that lie along the way. This isn't a passive reception of information, but an active engagement with the Holy Spirit, seeking discernment in every aspect of our lives. Think of the intricate network of roots beneath a towering oak tree, anchoring it firmly to the ground and providing it with nourishment. Divine guidance functions similarly, grounding us in truth and providing us with the spiritual sustenance we need to thrive. It's a lifeline that connects us to the source of all wisdom, enabling us to weather the storms of life with resilience and grace. This connection requires intentional cultivation, a conscious choice to prioritize prayer, meditation, and the study of Scripture. Given the complexities of life, trusting in divine guidance necessitates a willingness to surrender our own limited understanding and embrace the unknown with faith. Picture a tightrope walker carefully placing one foot in front of the other, trusting that the rope will hold them secure. Similarly, we must step out in faith, trusting that God will guide our steps, even when the path ahead is unclear. This doesn't mean abandoning reason or ignoring practical considerations, but rather approaching decisions with humility and openness to God's leading. Conversely, consider the power of declaration, speaking God's promises over every aspect of our lives. Imagine a town crier, proclaiming a royal decree throughout the land, ensuring that everyone is aware of its provisions. Similarly, we can declare God's promises over our health, our finances, our relationships, and our future, creating an atmosphere of faith and expectation. These declarations aren't mere wishful thinking, but powerful acts of spiritual warfare, dismantling the lies of the enemy and paving the way for God's blessings to manifest in our lives. Now, contemplate how this applies when you face a seemingly insurmountable obstacle, a challenge that appears too difficult to overcome. Do you succumb to discouragement, feeling helpless and defeated? Or do you declare God's promise of victory, reminding yourself that He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, Ephesians 3 verse 20. The power of declaration can shift your perspective, transforming a seemingly impossible situation into an opportunity for God's glory to be revealed. As another angle, realize that divine guidance isn't always a dramatic revelation or a sudden epiphany. More often, it's a gentle whisper, a subtle nudge, a persistent prompting in our hearts. It requires us to be attentive, discerning, and willing to listen to the still, small voice of the Holy Spirit. This means quieting the noise of the world, silencing the distractions, and creating space for God to speak. It also means being willing to obey, even when the path He leads us on is unconventional or uncomfortable. The ability to act in faith, even when we don't see the full picture, is paramount. Think of Abraham, who was called to leave his homeland and journey to an unknown destination, trusting that God would lead him to the promised land. Similarly, we are often called to step out in faith, trusting that God will provide for us, protect us, and guide us, even when we don't know what lies ahead. This requires a willingness to let go of control, to surrender our own plans and agendas, and to embrace God's perfect will for our lives. As the twilight deepens and the veil between worlds thins, we approach the culmination of this heartfelt supplication, poised to receive a benediction that transcends the temporal realm. Picture a master craftsman putting the final, exquisite touches on a masterpiece, adding layers of varnish to protect and enhance its beauty. This final blessing serves as a protective layer, sealing in the promises we've claimed and fortifying us against the lingering shadows of doubt and fear. It's a declaration of God's unwavering commitment to watch over us, to guide us, and to keep us safe, not just tonight, but for all eternity. Considering the weight of anxieties we often carry, this blessing acts as a release, a gentle unburdening of the heavy loads we've shouldered throughout the day. Imagine releasing a flock of doves into the sky, watching as they soar freely, carrying away our worries and cares. This blessing is a symbolic act of surrender, a conscious decision to relinquish control and place our trust fully in God's loving hands. It's an acknowledgement that we are not alone in our struggles, that we have a powerful advocate who is fighting on our behalf. Moreover, this benediction serves as a renewed commitment, a reaffirmation of our faith and a rededication of our lives to God's purpose. Think of a wedding vow, a solemn promise made before witnesses, a declaration of unwavering love and commitment. Similarly, this blessing is a vow we make to God, a promise to remain faithful to Him, to follow His guidance, and to live our lives in accordance with His will. It's a recognition that our lives are not our own, but rather a sacred gift entrusted to us by our Creator. Conversely, it's important to acknowledge that receiving this blessing requires a posture of receptivity, an openness to God's grace and a willingness to embrace His love. Visualize a flower unfolding its petals, reaching towards the sunlight, eagerly absorbing its warmth and nourishment. Similarly, we must open our hearts to God's blessing, allowing it to penetrate our souls and transform us from the inside out. This requires humility, a recognition of our own limitations and a dependence on God's power. Consequently, grasp that this blessing isn't a passive reception of divine favor, but an active participation in God's ongoing work in our lives. Imagine a seed falling on fertile ground, taking root, and growing into a strong and fruitful plant. Similarly, this blessing is a seed that God plants within us, a seed of hope, faith, and love that will blossom and bear fruit as we continue to nurture it through prayer, study, and obedience. It's a reminder that we are co-laborers with Christ, working together to advance His kingdom on earth. Now, consider the anxieties you might face as you prepare for sleep. Are you worried about the challenges of tomorrow, the uncertainties that lie ahead? This blessing is a reminder that God is already there, preparing the way, working behind the scenes to ensure that all things work together for your good, Romans 8 verse 28. It's a declaration of faith, a confident assurance that God will never leave you nor forsake you, that He will always be there to guide you, protect you, and provide for you. Therefore, as we conclude this prayer, let us embrace this final blessing with open hearts and expectant faith, trusting that God will fill us with His peace, His joy, and His unwavering love. May we rest peacefully tonight, knowing that we are held securely in His loving arms, and may we awaken refreshed and renewed, ready to face each new day with courage and hope. And as you drift off to sleep, remember that God's love surrounds you, His peace enfolds you, and His grace sustains you, now and forevermore. Amen. Reflecting on this journey so far, we begin to perceive the emergent form of a sanctuary sculpted not from stone or steel, but from the very substance of our faith. It's a refuge built on the bedrock of divine promise, a space where vulnerability transforms into inviolability. The threads of Scripture, personal avowal, and unwavering reliance, when interwoven, create a tapestry of resilient hope, a haven accessible not through physical pilgrimage, but through an inward turning, a recalibration of the spirit towards its source. The essence of what we've explored isn't merely about erecting defenses against external forces, but about cultivating an internal ecosystem of resilience, capable of flourishing even in the most arid landscapes of life. It's akin to nurturing a seed of unwavering conviction within the protective layers of trust, allowing it to germinate and take root, drawing sustenance from an unseen wellspring of strength. This process of inner fortification renders us less susceptible to the corrosive effects of doubt and despair, allowing us to stand firm against the relentless tides of adversity. Consider, too, how the act of invoking divine guidance shapes our perception of the path ahead. It's not about receiving a detailed map outlining every twist and turn, but about developing an intuitive compass that aligns us with our true north. It's about learning to discern the subtle whispers of the Spirit amidst the cacophony of worldly clamor, cultivating a sensitivity to the divine currents that flow through every aspect of our existence. This requires a conscious effort to quiet the internal static, to create space for the still, small voice to be heard, and to trust in the unseen hand that guides our steps. We recognize now that true peace isn't the absence of tribulation, but the presence of an unshakable inner certainty, a profound knowing that we are never truly alone. It's about embracing the paradoxical truth that even in the midst of suffering, we are held securely in the embrace of an unfailing love, a love that transcends our understanding and surpasses our wildest imaginations. This recognition empowers us to navigate the complexities of life with courage and grace, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth and transformation. As we approach the threshold of closure, it becomes increasingly evident that the true power lies not in our ability to control the circumstances that surround us, but in our capacity to choose how we respond to them. It's about cultivating an inner reservoir of resilience, a wellspring of faith that sustains us through the inevitable droughts and storms of life. This is the essence of spiritual mastery, not the avoidance of suffering, but the ability to transmute it into something beautiful and meaningful. It's the alchemical process of turning lead into gold, of transforming adversity into opportunity, of allowing our trials to refine us and make us stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The journey through this shared prayer has revealed something profound, that the peaceful sleep we seek isn't merely an absence of nocturnal unrest, but a testament to a deeper, abiding trust. It's not just about silencing the day's anxieties, but about cultivating an inner sanctuary where those anxieties lose their power. We've touched upon the scriptural anchors that ground us, the personal declarations that empower us, and the divine protection that surrounds us, weaving them together into a tapestry of faith designed to shield us from the storms within and without. Perhaps the most enduring insight gained is the realization that spiritual warfare isn't a distant battle waged on some ethereal plane, but an intimate, ongoing conversation with ourselves and with God. It's the daily act of choosing faith over fear, of aligning our thoughts and actions with the divine will, of transforming our vulnerabilities into sources of strength. It's about recognizing that the power to overcome resides not in our own might, but in the unwavering presence of a loving God who walks alongside us, guiding our steps and bolstering our spirits. The promise of peaceful sleep, then, becomes a metaphor for a life lived in harmony with that divine presence. It's the fruit of a surrendered heart, a mind at rest, and a spirit secure in the knowledge that we are held, protected, and deeply loved. It's not a destination to be reached, but a state of being to be cultivated, a continuous practice of turning inward to find the solace and strength that already reside within us, gifted freely by a grace that knows no bounds. Therefore, let this prayer serve as more than just a bedtime ritual. Let it be a reminder of the power we possess to shape our inner landscape, to cultivate a spirit of resilience, and to embrace the peace that surpasses all understanding. The true practice begins now, in the quiet moments of reflection, in the daily choices we make, and in the unwavering trust we place in the divine hand that guides us. Go forth, then, and live in that peace, knowing that you are never alone, that you are always loved, and that the promise of a peaceful sleep extends far beyond the confines of a single night, blossoming into a life of boundless hope and unwavering faith. If this prayer calmed your heart, if it gave your soul space to breathe, then don't leave in silence. Leave a comment, even a single word, to mark this moment of peace. Share this with someone who needs God's comfort tonight. Subscribe to begin and end each day anchored in His presence. You were never meant to carry it all alone. You were never meant to figure it all out before resting. So tonight, release it. Not just the burden, but the belief that you must stay strong all the time. God is with you. And in His arms, you are safe. You are held. And you are deeply, unconditionally loved. Sleep in peace, beloved. Tomorrow is already in His hands.